Let's get right into it. Number 7. Starlite. In the 1980s, an amateur chemist from England named Maurice Ward invented a new material. He called it Starlite. This stuff was basically a real-life superpower in the form of a white plastic. Its main property was that it could withstand and insulate from extreme heat. And when I say extreme, I mean it. In tests, Starlite was hit with a laser beam that reached 10,000 degrees Celsius. Any other material would have vaporized instantly. Starlite was barely affected. In one famous demonstration, Ward coated a raw egg in a thin layer of Starlite. He then held it in the flame of a blowtorch for 5 straight minutes. After the blowtorch was turned off, he cracked the egg open. The inside was still completely raw and cool to the touch. The potential for this material was enormous. It could have revolutionized everything from firefighters' uniforms to space travel. NASA was extremely interested. Companies from all over the world wanted to buy the formula. But Maurice Ward was incredibly secretive and paranoid. He was terrified that someone would steal his invention. He refused to let samples out of his sight. He set extreme demands for any deal, wanting 51% ownership of any company that used it. He claimed the formula was simple and could be made in a kitchen, but he never wrote it down. He only shared the secret with his immediate family members. Then, in 2011, Maurice Ward passed away, and it seems his family didn't know the formula as well as he thought, or perhaps they just couldn't replicate it. Either way, the secret to making Starlite died with him. A technology that could have saved countless lives and changed the world is gone, all because one man was too afraid to share. Number 6. Flexible glass. Let's go back to ancient Rome. An inventor, whose name is lost to history, created something incredible. It was a type of glass that you could not break. He called it vitrum flexile, or flexible glass. This wasn't just slightly tougher glass. You could drop it, throw it against a stone floor, and it wouldn't shatter. At most, it would get a dent, and you could just hammer the dent out, like it was a piece of metal. The inventor was incredibly proud. He managed to get a meeting with the emperor, Tiberius. He presented his amazing creation, a beautiful glass drinking bowl. Then, right in front of the emperor, he threw it to the ground. The guards probably flinched, but the bowl just dented. The inventor then pulled out a small hammer and casually tapped the dent out. The bowl was as good as new. You would think the emperor would be amazed, that he would shower the inventor with gold and make him famous. But Tiberius had a different reaction. He wasn't impressed. He was terrified. He asked the inventor if anyone else knew how to make this flexible glass. The inventor proudly said no. The secret was his alone. Tiberius was worried that this new material would be more valuable than gold or silver. He feared it would wreck the entire Roman economy. So, to protect the value of the empire's precious metals, he made a decision. He had the inventor taken away and executed. And just like that, the secret of flexible glass was lost forever. And the world lost this tech because an emperor valued gold over progress. Then with world-changing technology. Number 5. The Sloot digital coding system. In the 1990s, a Dutch electronics technician named Jan Sloot made a bold claim. He said he had invented a revolutionary data compression method. He called it the Sloot digital coding system, and the claims he made were almost unbelievable. Sloot said his technology could compress a full-length feature film down to just 8 kilobytes. To put that in perspective, a single high-quality photo today can be several megabytes. 8 kilobytes is the size of a simple text document. It sounded impossible. The technology was based on the idea of storing data in a shared alphabet of information. Instead of storing the whole movie file, his system would only need to store the code that told a device how to arrange the shared data to play the movie. If it was real, it would have completely changed the digital world. No more buffering, no more running out of storage space. You could store thousands of movies on a single cheap chip. Sloot demonstrated his technology to investors and tech executives, including a former CEO of Philips. He reportedly loaded 16 full movies onto a 64-kilobyte chip in front of them. They were convinced. A major deal was about to be signed. Sloot was on the verge of becoming one of the most important inventors in modern history, but just days before the deal was finalized, Jan Sloot died of a heart attack. In the aftermath, no one could find the most crucial part of his invention. The compiler, the software that made the whole system work, was stored on a floppy disk. That disk was never found. Whether he was a genius or a fraud, we'll never know for sure. The technology that could have revolutionized the internet disappeared with him. Number 4. Damascus Steel. For centuries, swords made in the Middle East were legendary. They were known as Damascus Steel swords, and they were considered the finest blades ever made. These swords were incredibly strong, yet flexible. They were so sharp they could supposedly cut a silk scarf that was falling through the air. They could also slice through the iron swords of European knights. What made them special was a unique, swirling pattern on the blade. It looked like flowing water, and it was a sign of the blade's quality. This steel was made from a raw material called Damascus Steel, which came from India. Blacksmiths in Damascus and other parts of the Middle East had a secret process for forging this steel into blades. This process created a unique internal structure in the metal. Modern scientists have examined these ancient blades with electron microscopes. They found carbon nanotubes and nanowires inside the steel. These microscopic structures are what gave the blades their incredible strength and sharpness. The ancient blacksmiths had unknowingly created a form of nanotechnology, but around the year 1800, the art of making Damascus steel was lost. No one is exactly sure why. One theory is that the specific mines in India that produced the Damascus steel ran out of ore. Without the unique raw material, the process was impossible. Another theory is that the blacksmiths who knew the secret techniques simply failed to pass them on. The knowledge died with them. For centuries, people have tried to rediscover the secret, but no modern reproduction has ever perfectly matched the quality of the original blades. Number 3. Greek fire. Imagine you're a sailor in the 7th century. Your ship is attacking a Byzantine fleet. Suddenly, their ship starts spraying a thick, sticky liquid at you, and then that liquid bursts into flames. You try to put it out with water, but that only makes it burn hotter. The fire sticks to your ship, to your clothes, to your skin. There is no escape. This terrifying weapon was Greek fire. It was the secret weapon of the Byzantine Empire for centuries. It was basically an ancient flamethrower. It could be sprayed from tubes mounted on their ships, or thrown in clay pots that exploded on impact. It gave the Byzantines total naval supremacy. Enemy fleets were terrified of it. It helped them win impossible battles and defend their capital, Constantinople, for hundreds of years. The formula for Greek fire was one of the most closely guarded state secrets in history. Only a handful of people knew how to make it. The knowledge was passed down through a single family and the Byzantine emperors. Historians believe it was a petroleum-based mixture. It probably contained things like pine resin, sulfur, and quicklime, but no one knows the exact recipe. At some point, the secret was lost. Perhaps the family who knew the recipe died out. Maybe the formula was lost during one of the many sieges of Constantinople. By the time of the Fourth Crusade in 1204, the Byzantines no longer had it. Modern chemists have tried to recreate it, but nothing has matched the ancient descriptions. One of the most devastating weapons of the ancient world simply vanished. Number 2. The Library of Alexandria. This wasn't just a single building full of books. It was a massive research institution in ancient Egypt, the greatest center of knowledge in the ancient world. It held hundreds of thousands of scrolls, containing the collective wisdom of Greek, Egyptian, and Mesopotamian cultures. Scholars from all over the world came there to study. They studied astronomy, mathematics, medicine, and philosophy. It's believed that the first steam engine was designed there, that astronomers there calculated the circumference of the Earth with stunning accuracy. They mapped the stars and developed advanced geometry. So what happened to it? Unlike other technologies on this list, it wasn't one person who screwed up. It was a series of people over hundreds of years. The decline started with Julius Caesar. During a battle in the city, he set fire to enemy ships in the harbor. The fire spread and destroyed a warehouse full of scrolls destined for the library. That was the first major blow. Over the next few centuries, the library suffered from budget cuts and neglect. Political instability and religious conflicts took their toll. Different rulers and religious groups saw the library's pagan knowledge as a threat. Scrolls were destroyed by mobs. Scholars were driven away. The final destruction wasn't a single great fire, but a slow, painful death by 1,000 cuts. By the time the main building was finally destroyed, much of its knowledge was already gone. We can only guess what we lost: cures for diseases, advanced mathematics, detailed histories of the ancient world, entire plays, poems, and philosophical works. It was the intellectual heritage of humanity, and it was burned, torn apart, and left to rot. Number 1. Roman concrete. The ancient Romans were master builders. They built aqueducts, roads, and massive structures like the Colosseum and the Pantheon. And many of these structures are still standing today, 2,000 years later. Meanwhile, modern concrete buildings often start to crumble after just 50 years. What was their secret? A special kind of concrete. Roman concrete was far superior to the stuff we use today. It was incredibly durable. It could even be used to build structures underwater, like harbors and bridges. Modern concrete would just dissolve, but Roman concrete would harden into a solid, rock-like mass when exposed to seawater. For centuries, the recipe for this amazing material was lost. After the fall of the Roman Empire, the knowledge of how to make it simply disappeared. Recently, scientists have finally started to figure out the secret. The Romans used a mix of volcanic ash, lime, and seawater, but they also added small, white chunks of lime called lime clasts. For a long time, researchers thought these were just signs of sloppy mixing. But it turns out, these little chunks are the key to the concrete's longevity. When tiny cracks form in the concrete over time, water seeps in. This water reacts with the lime clasts. It creates a chemical reaction that fills the cracks, effectively healing the concrete. It's a self-healing material. The Romans created a smart concrete that could repair itself, and we lost that knowledge for over 1,500 years. We're only now starting to relearn what they knew all along. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.